Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay.
You know, you
Hey, Gary.
can take us with you to the radio station.
I will. You can write down 69 with me.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, Gary.
Hello, good to see you.
Good to see you, Gary.
Hello, Alvin.
Morning.
Oh, please don't tell me it's morning.
I know.
Hey, why not?
Allison, how's the baby?
She's noisy.
Noisy.
No, she's doing really good.
That's great.
Gary.
Hello, good to see you.
Good to see you, Gary.
Hello, Alvin.
Hello, how are you doing?
Okay, so let's go ahead. Chris, you okay if we go ahead and start the meeting?
Yeah, and I have a surprise for you all.
Oh, very good. We all
Oh.
like surprises. We have that. I love that. Okay. So let's
we
get
can do the pledge
started.
with
And
the actual flag.
first of all, Allison, would you like to do roll call? I show it's 3 o'clock.
Sure. Madam Chair Orr,
Here.
Vice Chair Nolan,
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Palguda,
Still
There.
connected to audio.
Yeah.
okay. Member Brown. Absent. Member Best,
Here.
Member Stump,
Here.
and we have a quorum.
Excellent. All right, so let's get started with our Pledge of Allegiance. And Mike Bass, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
I can do that.
Thank you.
Hey, Billy,
I
can you hear me?
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
and
to the republic for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one
One
nation
nation,
under God,
under God,
God.
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
with
and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all. Very good.
Hey,
All right.
Time delay there.
Mayor Palputa, calls, get him on the audio. Can you hear us, Mayor?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
heard him. I heard him respond. So first of all, we're going to just touch base on the Title VI policy and meeting procedures. And so, Chris, would you like to talk about kind of the housekeeping on that?
This is just notice to the public that we do our best and darndest to not discriminate in any form. We do have a Title VI policy that we did updated last meeting. Just a reminder that we do have a self-reporting option. If you want to provide us with any information regarding if any of the public's watching on YouTube right now, you can go to our website and you can send us information voluntarily. We don't ask for anything, but if you volunteer information about race, language, and all that, it helps ADOT put together information showing that we're reaching as many people as possible. And then just a couple of reminders, just make sure that your line's on mute until you're talking. And then I know we've gotten pretty good at this, but we want a roll call vote when we do have an action item.
Sure.
And again, we are live on YouTube right now.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. So now we'll do our call to the public. This item is to provide an opportunity for presentation of comments from the public on subjects not on the agenda. So, Chris, do we have anybody that would like to, or Allison,
We didn't
call to the
receive.
public?
We didn't receive any.
All right. Okay, very good. Then we will go on to item number 5. Chris?
Okay.
Consideration and possible action to approve the minutes. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
I'll
Right.
second it.
So we have a first and a second. So let's take a roll call vote, please. Allison, you want to do a roll call vote?
Sure. Madam Chair Orr,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nolan,
Yes.
Secretary Treasurer Palguda,
Yes.
Member Best,
Yes.
Member Stump.
Yes.
We have 5 in favor.
Very good.
It passes.
Thank you, Allison. So the next item I see is item number 6, review and discussion and possible action to amend the joint project agreement JPA for SR 69 widening design project. So Chris, tell us about that.
So this is adding the additional 100,000 in order for
Right.
the VDOT and consultant team to get the final design as far along as possible. And then it'll kind of sit there for a while until the state board gets a chance later in the fall to revisit the 5-year construction program. So this adds the additional 100,000. It's not clear the way it's written, but Dan let me know that Flood Control District and County Board of Supervisors approved their version because we had multiple signatures on there, and I believe it's going to Prescott City Council later this month. So we're not the last ones to sign, but the only modification is an additional 100,000 contribution. If you just picked it up and didn't know that, it looks like we're paying 800,000, but that's not right. It went from 700 to 800.
Got it. Okay. We talked about this on Monday at our pedestrian bicycle traffic committee in Prescott. So Ian kind of updated folks on that. So where, Chris, is this in the calendar for ADOT? Is it still on the schedule as much as it can be?
Yeah, it's still in the 5-year program right now, but everything's kind of on hold until
Okay.
the board gets an opportunity to get some revised financial information and projections and things
Okay.
like that, which Gary could probably clarify a little more, or Alvin. I believe that's September. There'll be a public meeting in October, possibly consideration of adopting or making changes to the plan then. That's how I understand it.
That Chris, that's correct as I understand it.
Okay.
That's the tentative schedule is September with approval hopefully in October if everything works out. And everything right now is status quo. It's the same as we're using the existing 5-year plan at the current time.
Very good. Thank you, Gary, for that update. And I see that Chairman Brown has also joined us. And so can I have a motion?
So moved.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion. We approve this
I'm sorry, Jack. I'm in a meeting right
to add the $100,000 to the State Route 69 widening design project.
Thank you, Mayor Nolan. And can we have a second?
now.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a first and a second. Let's please do a roll call vote.
That's probably where we haven't had any more phone calls.
Madam Chair Orr,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nolan,
Yes.
Secretary Treasurer Palguda,
Yes.
Member Brown,
It looked like he said yes, but he's on mute.
So, Member Brown, is that a yes? Thumbs up? So Craig, you're on mute. Can you give us a thumbs up? There we go. All right.
There we
We'll
go.
take that as an aye. Okay, go ahead, Allison.
They have not been working well.
Member Best,
Yes.
Member Stump.
I'll abstain.
Can you hear me
Alright.
now?
We
Yeah.
can hear you now. Yes.
God.
Good. It's good to see you too. So now we will go on to item number 7. And I really enjoyed reading that article about how Yavapai County has managed to get its accidents down. And I was pleased to see that they credited distracted driving somewhat for part of those statistics. So that was good. So we're going to now review, discuss, and possible action to approve the professional services agreement with Sparklight Advertising for the Distracted Driving Education Campaign 2010-20. So would you like to do that, Chris? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can do that. So just to clarify, it's the same basic scope that we've been doing, just continuing the project. The only thing that changed was a slight difference in cost, and it ended up being like $750 more than what we did the last time. But that's due to switching from a Facebook feed which they tag us as a political ad. And so anyways, it was hurting numbers there. So it's moving over to the YouTube stream instead, and that's gonna account for the difference there, but exact same agreement. I do have to make sure that in the motion, if you do recommend approval on this, is that it is still in attorney review. The scope and the fee are the same and will not change. We're just waiting for them to get through their review, and attorneys have been causing a lot of delays lately. So we're hoping that we get that by the end of the week back from the Cable One attorney.
So Chris, you would rather go ahead and do that now rather than put it on the next agenda?
Yeah, I think if you approve it pending attorney review,
Okay, all right.
it's okay. And if we have anything weird pop up, and it shouldn't, we've had the same agreement with them twice already. So
Right. Good. Well, as I said, it was a great article, and it did mention this distracted driving. Didn't mention CYMPO specifically, but we all knew. So
Oh,
could we please have a motion for number 7?
Madam Chairman, I'd make a motion, but I need to know how much the amount of money is total.
it's,
45,000 in that.
I think it's 45,750. I'm trying to find it.
That's correct, Chris.
That's correct. $45,750.
45,700?
750.
40,750, I believe.
Yep.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the professional service agreement with Sparklight Advertising for a distracted driving education campaign in 2020. Can we also slash that with a 21? Because they'll be able to get it done the way things are going.
Yeah.
Okay. With the amendment, Craig.
Approval and an amount of $45,750.
Perfect. So we have a motion. Can we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. So that, I think that was Mayor Nolan. So we have first and a second. So let's do a roll call vote, please, Allison.
Okay, Madam Chair Orr,
I'll
Yes.
second it.
Yes.
Vice Chair Nolan,
Yes.
Very nice.
Secretary Treasurer Palguda, did you say yes? I missed it. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
That was a yes. Okay.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Cal.
Member Brown,
Yes.
Member Best,
Yes.
Member Stump,
Yes.
6 in favor.
All right, great. Thank you. Now moving right on to item number 8, review, discuss, and action to amend the fiscal year 2020 through 2024 MTIP, Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Program. And Chris, I know we were talking earlier before we went on about how much the TAC has put on this.
Yeah. They did tremendous work, and hopefully you can see the document I just put up.
Yes, it's there. I can see it.
Okay. So this is the most complicated amendment we've ever done. 2.25 pages worth of project changes and moving money around. But a lot of that has to do with the new 2045 Regional Transportation Plan and us ramping up, utilizing on-call and doing more planning to get projects in a position where we have good cost estimates and things like that. So this is a summary version of it. And like I said, we've worked long and hard with the Technical Advisory Committee, and I see Dan's on. So I don't know if you have any questions for the TAC, that Dan is available. I can run through all these, and we did provide you the clean version of the tip on the spreadsheet. It was quite convoluted, to say the least, with highlights and moving and changing and deleting and all that. So this is probably a much cleaner way to look at it. When we talked about distracted driving, that's in there. We have the change for the extra money. We've got, we had a chunk of funds sitting here for 69 that was set aside for construction, but we just approved the amendment for the 100,000 for additional design that came out of that. And then we're moving some of this around to look at an adaptive signal project, which will come back to the board in August for a potential RFP. We're drafting that now, and I'm going to be sending that out to the TAC hopefully next week so they get a chance to look at it. The Road 1 North traffic signal, Mike's still on, that the town added some additional funds, or is considering adding some additional funds. ADOT did as well. And then the TAC also was making recommendation to put an additional 63,000 in on top of the 185 that we had. LTAP training, which is, it's only $5,000 a year, but it is something that the local jurisdictions can use to do training for their public works staffs. It could be flagger training, it could be all kinds of things, but this is to cover the cost of those locally, so they don't have to pay for anything. Then cleaning up the CYMPO regional transportation plan, we had a one line item with two different things. So we've got one that's clearly 2040, that's an old project that's expended and done. And then we've got the new one, the 2050 project in the 5th year of the program. So that way it's clear, split them up. They're not on the same line item. The 169 alternative selection report, which is happening right now. That was from the on-call. We needed to add some additional funds. The bid came in like $5,000 higher. So we were able to move that around. Same thing for Robert Road and making sure the dollar amount was correct. We deleted the generic line item that said regional studies and grant assistance because they are now being programmed into specific projects. Moving some money around from the regional safety campaign, which is makes up the difference from what we got for a bid. Working with the TAC, we had programmed a transportation education / public outreach last year, and we ended up not using it. We needed that money for something else. And then as we were going through this process, we figured that on a portion of our funds, we were using the inaccurate obligation authority, and obligation is different than your apportionment. Congress apportioned you money and they tell you how much of it you can spend. So we were over on that. So we've had to move some money around to basically repay ADOT, but we may not end up having to do that at all because we've had significant savings from no travel, no vehicle usage, all that stuff. So we think that's going to end up being a wash. And let's see, moving some into the admin operations. HERF Exchange right now is tentatively suspended or will be. But so we moved all those into different planning studies. The big one that the TAC wanted to move forward on, and we've been spending some time drafting and trying to get some information from other similar projects, is looking at the adaptive signal planning on 69 Glassford Hill and Willow Creek Road. Basically determining what they need, getting the signal timings so that you can get them programmed, figuring out where the software is going to be housed. Is it individual with each agency? How is that all going to work? So that's where a big chunk of the money is going, is to do that. Essentially increasing the efficiency and capacity on all 3 of those roadways, because we know Willow Creek's not getting widened.
Right.
We're not going to see expansion dollars through the state for any time in the near future. And Glassford has a lot of traffic too. So we think this is going to be a real good project for the area.
Good.
And then the other one that's a new project is the 89A eastbound dual on-ramps. So if you're coming out of Chino Valley and turning to go to Prescott Valley, you have dual lefts, but only one ramp to go on to the highway. And there's a lot of demand to go onto the highway. So we want to look at what impacts that might have. Not sure if it gets into the Larry Caldwell Bridge. That one should be relatively straightforward, but that one can come from the on-call construction project, where the adaptive signal is a high enough dollar amount that it's going to have to be its own standalone RFP. So like I said, we'll be bringing the scopes for those back in August to get approval to move forward with those. Regional Transportation Plan 2050, I mentioned here, was on the other line item. In fiscal year, I guess it would be 22, the TAC is recommending that we revisit the Great Western Corridor study. That was originally done by Yavapai County about, if I can remember correctly, Dan, that was like 10, 11 years ago. And
08 is what I recall.
08, okay, so it's been a while. And that plan was developed. In fact, it was so long ago, I used to work at Public Works back then. Yeah, so, but that plan was primarily developed with the Cavan property in mind, which was like 19 sections of land that they had a plat on. We were seeing building activity going crazy at the time, and we had large population projections. Those have since not occurred, and we've rolled those back. But there's concern that we've got this corridor out there and potential subdivisions or illegal subdividing, or I should say lot splitting, not illegal subdividing, could impact the corridor here. But it is set up for a system to system interchange, so to speak. So if you go down to Phoenix and the 101 and I-17, that type of traffic interchange, not sure if that's needed right away, but it's something to relook at. And to revisit what the phasing of the corridor would be, but more importantly, shoring up what the right-of-way alignment would be. So hopefully we can try to preserve that somehow. I don't know how we're going to preserve it unless you see the platting come through, and then you can work with the developers. If it's lot splitting, we'd have to flat out just go buy it. And I don't know where that's coming from. And then the following year in 23 would be a 69 corridor plan, which would address access control, wildlife connectivity, widening potentials, really just revisiting the whole corridor. And then the next year would be the 89A widening plan, which would address more specifically Glassford to 89, which I know Alvin has mentioned in the past, the significant traffic growth that's occurring there.
Right.
Based on the dollar amounts and what we thought the scopes would be, that's why they ended up in the years they ended up in. We could probably get creative and move some things around if we needed to. The next item here says single audit. So that's something that we've never had to do. And the reason for that is you have to do a single audit with federal dollars if you expend $750,000 in a fiscal year. We've never done that because we've always just given our construction money over to ADOT for projects. So since we're now using the STBG funds for things like planning studies, there's potential in future years that we may have to do a separate independent audit. So we're just going to budget for those. I can't see under the screen here, but I think it's $20,000. Is that right, Allison? Yes, okay.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And then there's a Word document portion of the MTIP as well that identifies incoming funds and what those pots of money are. So we've added to that and clarified those so that they are now consistent with what's in the body of the TIP. And I know the work program is the next item, but we also did the same thing with the work program to make everything jive in the budget tables. The numbers match across all three portions of these two documents. And with that, I can try to answer any questions. And I think Dan's still on, and I think Frank might be on too, but Dan is the chair of the technical advisory committee this year.
So is he still there? Yeah, he's there. Dan, do you have any comments?
I just want to tell everybody that we appreciate Mr. Bridges' detailed overview of that, and reassure everyone that the TAC spent quite a bit of time going over this change to the MTIP. I'm confident that it's accurately reflecting the direction of CYMPO at this point.
So any other comments from the board? If not, would you like to make, someone like to make a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion. We approve the amendment to the 2024 Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Program. MTIP.
Thank you. And we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a first and second. Let's do a roll call vote, please, Allison.
Madam Chair Orr,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nolan,
Yes.
Secretary Treasurer Palguda.
Yes.
Member Brown,
Yes.
Member Best,
Yes.
Member Stump.
Yes.
Have 6 in favor.
Very good. Thank you. So Chris, I would like for us, if the board's okay with it, I'd like for us to send a letter to the TAC and just appreciating the great work that they've done
I can do that.
from the board, if everybody's okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with that. I mean, it's not on the agenda, so we can't really vote, but I think,
Well, it's just a courtesy, I think, just to
Yes.
recognize their work, and we just accepted their work. So I think it's just a thank you to them for their work, because I know they spent, Chris was telling me how many hours they've spent on this. So it's just a thank you. I mean, I
absolutely.
personally do it, but I think it'd be great coming from the board. All
Okay.
right, very good. So let's move on to our next item, which is review and discussion and possible action to amend the fiscal year 2021 Unified Planning Work Program. So Chris?
So I just touched on this with
Yeah.
all the changes in there to the budget table.
Chris, let me interrupt for a moment, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is just a result of the action we just took. So
Right,
it's basically just making those changes as they apply. So I would make a motion to approve amending the fiscal year
Thank you.
2021 Unified Planning Work Program as presented.
yeah, because it's
Second
just
it.
part of the other one. All right, do we have a second?
I second it.
All right, let's do a roll call vote, please, Allison.
Madam Chair Orr,
Aye.
Vice Chair Nolan,
Yes.
Secretary Treasurer Palguda,
Yes.
Member Brown,
Yes.
Member Best,
Yes.
Member Stump.
Yes.
You have 6 in favor.
Very good, thank you. So I am going to turn this over to Mayor Nolan, our vice chair, and I have to get over to KQ&A, but I'll take the picture off, but I'll stay online. Our next item is Mr. Kevin Adams. It's good to see you, Kevin.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Yeah, so are you in the valley?
I am
What's the temperature, Kevin?
way too hot.
Yeah.
We're
It's actually quite nice here.
yeah, it's been over 110 typically. We are supposed to get some rain in this weekend, so hopefully it'll cool things down a little bit.
Which good to see you. So we'll have Mayor Nolan take over, and then I'll be listening to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Billy.
You're welcome.
Kevin, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. And a little bit of a backdrop before I talk about what's occurring. Most of the legislative activity, or actually all of it at this point, is at the federal level, and there is a lot going on. And why that's important, I think you go back and you look at what the State Transportation Board did about a month ago. They were scheduled to vote on the 5-year construction program update. And at that point, it was pretty ugly, and it was going to be some pretty drastic measures that were going to have to take place. At that point, the financial staff had forecasted that there was going to be a $711 million loss. There was going to be $155 million in scheduled bond measures that were going to have to be deferred. So they were looking at updating the program and including about $870 million in reductions that were going to have to be put in place predominantly in the front end of that program. But because it appeared that there was, I guess, some hope that the financial situation was not as dire as what was anticipated, they decided to hold off and probably wait until October to take action. At that point, we're going to know for sure that they'll have more accurate numbers to deal with. But I think there's also still a lot of hope and a lot of confidence that the revenue picture will be better. There has definitely been some very substantial revenue losses. Same can be said at the state general fund level as well. But it has been dramatically better than what had been forecasted. And at least prior to this reinstatement of some of the restrictions that are COVID-19 related, we also were seeing the economy already start to rebound as far as revenue collections, jobs. So it's still too early to tell what this next round of restrictions is going to do to the revenue. And of course, we don't know what the future holds. But we are very hopeful that the revenue outlook for the state plan will be much better than we thought a month ago. And that ties into the federal update, because right now, the big issue that is going to be decided, I think, fairly quickly back in Washington is what the next COVID-19 relief package is going to look like. There had been some doubt and some delays over whether or not it was going to occur. I think most of you probably know about a month ago, the House passed the HEROES Act, which was about a $3.3 trillion package, which included significant levels of relief funding for states and local governments. You know, if you go back to the CARES Act, that was, there was state and local relief, but it had to be directly COVID-19 related as far as how it was spent. Whereas the intention with future relief is that it will basically keep people whole or hold them harmless from the losses to their general funds as a result of COVID-19. As far as highways go, highways did not receive any of that relief funding in any of the earlier relief packages. Transit had a pretty significant hit of 15 billion. Or I'm sorry, no, I think it was 25 billion. But anyway, there is a big push to make sure that losses to transportation funding are addressed in the next passage. And so again, the House passed their version about a month ago. There was a lot of delay and debate as far as whether or not the Senate would follow suit. Just with statements made in the last couple of days, I think it's very clear that something will be passed. Many of the earlier relief efforts expire on August 1st, like the enhanced unemployment insurance. And so there is a tremendous push to get much of that renewed, and a push to include highways. There was a Dear Colleague letter that was distributed around the Senate that went to Majority Leader McConnell and Minority Leader Schumer, signed by 27 senators, including 7 Republicans, which Senator McSally did sign on, basically requesting that there be relief funding for highways in the next bill. I don't think what you will see that comes out of the Senate will be nearly as high as that 3.3 trillion level that the House passed. But I think there will be something, and there's a good chance that it will include highways. ASHTO, which is the organization that represents all of the state DOTs, kind of like with the state and ADOT, they have sort of downgraded or lessened the projected losses from 50 billion to 37. So fortunately, it appears that not as much funding will be needed to keep state DOTs whole. And so that's a real positive. But with that August 1st deadline looming for many of these relief efforts that had been put in place because of the CARES Act, when Congress goes back into session after their 4th of July break, which they're still currently on, I expect the Senate to take this up immediately, and we will probably see the next round of relief within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And of course, if that includes highway funding, that will go a long ways towards lessening the hit that's anticipated by ADOT in the 5-year construction program. We are also at the federal level looking at passing a budget for next year. And we're also looking for a transportation reauthorization bill, both of which are due by October 1st. At this point, there's still a lot of disagreement on how you pay for any increases for transportation investment, but both the House, the Senate, the Trump administration have all come out with plans that would increase funding levels. And so, and by fairly significant amounts. And so, with it being a presidential election year, it's going to get more and more partisan. There's a good chance that you're going to see continuing resolutions until we at least get into that lame duck session after the election. So I think longer term, I think there's a good chance of greater investment. But in the interim, probably not much is going to change, with the exception of that relief funding that we'll probably know the outcome of within a couple of weeks. And so that is the sort of the big items. I don't anticipate any further action by the state legislature. At this point, I don't think that there is a consensus as far as coming back for a special session. And if there were, I don't think they can agree on what the agenda would be. So at this point, unless something really drastic happens, or I suppose there's a possibility that maybe future federal relief funding requires state legislative action in order to be used. Without something like that occurring, I'd be very surprised if you see the state legislature come back in. I think with that skinny budget that they passed, we're probably going to be able to limp through the rest of the year until they're scheduled to come back in for regular session in January. So again, don't expect much more from the state legislature this year. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Adams? I guess that's good, Kevin. You're great.
Well, thank you, Mayor.
Okay, and let's move on. Item 11, agency updates, additional discussion and direction for staff. Chris, updates, anything?
I'll just tag on since Kevin's on. The Rural Summit is canceled this year, but it is planned to be on for next year. And if you had registered and you need a refund, or if you want your registration to carry forward, you can let me know and I can help you get in touch with Irene Higgs or Andrea ever at CAG, and they can make that happen. I'm not sure if everybody's processed or asked for a refund of their registrations or not. We didn't receive a whole lot, but I'm pretty sure a lot of our region did sign up. So if you need to double check on that, let me know. I can help you with that.
State Transportation Board is meeting on Friday. It'll be remote meeting. There may be some members that show up at the Phoenix office, but most of the members have been showing up remotely. I plan to be there remotely myself. This agenda is not, there are a few projects, not a lot. So there's nothing that stands out. After I've gone through it, I didn't see anything in it that really stands out. But anyway, if you desire to go, you're more than welcome to speak. They've got it, got a pretty good format with the WebEx process, where if you want to submit a form by email for call to the public, you will be allowed to your 3 minutes to speak. They've got everybody muted. They will unmute just the speaker. So there's no conflict and no noise in the background. It's been very, very well done. So if you do have anything you want to speak about, don't hesitate to sign up. You have to email them, and you can go to the State Transportation Board's website and follow the instructions for call to the audience, and you'll be able to speak at the meeting as you normally would. It just won't be in person.
Yeah, to tag on to what you're saying, Gary, I read through the agenda in the background, and there's a couple projects, but nothing that jumps out for the CYMPO region. I'll be listening more or less for Christine's financial update.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the key one is the financial update, but also Sam Elters is going to have to resign from the board. He was just hired as the Mojave County manager, and he was representing Maricopa County. So I don't know how long that process is going to take to replace him, but I think Sam will be resigning on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already tendered his resignation effective, and I don't know the date, but he once he moves out of Maricopa County to Mojave County, he's done. That's my understanding anyway.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments or anything? Want to direct staff to supply donuts next meeting or what? You know, we could do that.
I brought a flag. Wait, now you want donuts.
Is that virtual donuts?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I guess it'd have to be virtual donuts because you know the meeting's going to be on Zoom.
Yeah, let me know how those taste, will you?
Oh, okay.
Well, Kirk is supposed to bring ice cream. We'll have to bring Kirk and Mary back.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, he usually does that. Okay, if there's nothing else yet. Next item is to adjourn. And the meeting is adjourned. I got 3:41.
All right, see you guys later.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Guys, have a good one.
Everybody have a good weekend.
You bet.
Yes,
Take
hope
it
it
easy,
rains.
Jerry.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. Bye.
Bye. I'm just
Bye, Terry.
live stream stuff.
Okay.